Ladies and gentlemen, it appears that Kuro Games has come out with some new news regarding Augusta. And when it comes to the fact that this unit is going to have a lot of story involvement, has already had a bit of an overture quest during the live version of the game, I thought it would be a bit of an exciting time for us to go into and break down a bit when it comes to her story and see what additional reveals are available for us. Because if you went ahead and you played that overture quest, right, with like the cards where you're like, swiping them left and right to make certain decisions, you got a bit of a breakdown of her backstory. So let's go ahead and see what else we've got going on over here. So, about Augusta. Finder of lost property. Augusta's resonance ability may not be among the most impressive on the battlefield, but it has proved immensely useful when it comes to finding lost property. I think that this is something really interesting about this unit that a lot of people might not have fully recognized. Her combat ability, all of that, the crazy shit she's doing on the battlefield, it's not because of her forte. All her forte does is give her like magnetism powers, and I guess connect all those swords that's on this sword. This is a sword made out of a bunch of swords. It connects them together. And all of that combat prowess, it's done basically out of her pure iron will, whatever you want to call that shit. So very unique, especially relative to other units on the roster where all of their combat power originates from their forte. So yeah, this is what she uses her forte for instead. She finds scissors, fountain pens, drawer strings, or drawer keys, and they all tumble out of hidden nooks and crannies as Augusta paces the room, deep in thought. Before long, a medley of lost and found knickknacks cling to her dress. Broken paper clips, a solitary metallic button, and lo and behold, a soup spoon. I want to see a cutscene in the quest where Augusta, like, walks out of, like, a room and she's just, like, covered in, like, kitchen utensils. I think that would actually be hilarious if they do want to have, like, some comedic timing in the quest. She's kind of, like, display some of her forte, and then she just, like, every single dialogue she's in, there's, like, a random, like, ornament that's, like, stuck to, like, her back or something. That would be good. It would be great if they did that. I'm hoping that they do. All right, now we got snack time. The Ephor's palace is perched atop Capitoline Hill, right before the flight path of griffrexes flying to and from the Sanguise Plateau. I think that's like the griffin thing that's been featured so much in Septimon's advertising and of course in Augusta's kit. Young griffrexes, not knowing any better, sometimes find their way into the conference room through open windows, playing around like they own the place and resting under the long tables when tired. Seems like the animals like her. Griffrexes are one of the most treasured echoes in Septimont. Even the nobility, who are used to having people at their beck and call, wouldn't presume to have one tossed out. So it really does seem like Septimont, like everyone thought like the griffin was going to be like the sentinel of the Septimont region, right? That it was gonna have its own, but it turns out that they just took like this kind of like regular echo that doesn't necessarily have any special abilities, and they just decided to have that as like the representation of their nation, like an actual like pet. So yeah, very interesting, like how the culture in the region actually sort of like works out. Excited to see more about how it plays out in the 2.6 quest. Even the nobility, who are used to having people at their beck and call, wouldn't presume— oh, we already read that. As the elders drone on, Augusta takes out the snack she has kept hidden, and without anyone being the wiser, feeds it to the griffrexes under the table. Maybe that's why she uses them in combat. She's actually secretly been bribing them across her entire career as the Ephor, and that's why she's able to use them in combat. One day, a young griffrex caught the scent of food and got overexcited. It jumped onto the table, interrupting the interminable speech that had gone on for too long. Augusta sat back, looking on as the elders scrambled to restore order in the conference room. She's a bit of a troublemaker, as you can see. She's working with a bunch of decrepit old men, and they're naturally— right, probably a little bit old for the times, because we know how much of a revolution Augusta is kind of like holding. If you were familiar with the Overture quest, what she's basically done as the new Ephor of Septimont is just turn all of like the traditions, all of that stuff on their head, instituting new rules of combat so that people don't die in the competition, right? Having echoes team up with the people, probably so that she can like fight with her own personal griffrex in combat. Yeah, so she's done a lot. I'm excited to see like maybe what like the past was compared to like the present. Maybe that's what we'll get a bit of exposure of while we're on the hunt, which should be pretty cool. Now we got the morning routine. Augusta has a full head of natural curls. Okay, I can see that. And which wouldn't be a nuisance if not for her resonance ability. Those accidental electro discharges do not agree with either her hair or the pillow it rests on at night. Augusta sometimes thinks about skipping her morning routine to get a head start on business for the day, but it's not possible, as her assistant never fails to remind her. Your Excellency, if I may be so bold as to impress upon you the importance of public image. She's sounding more and more like a bit of a disaster. Like, I feel like Augusta has somebody, like, taking care of her. And if there wasn't somebody doing that, she would, like, kind of actually be a complete mess. That seems to be what's actually going on over here. She has, like, this hidden sort of, like, silly side that I'm pretty sure we have not gotten exposed to at all. And to me, like, with all of this setup and with what we're seeing here, if none of these sort of like characteristics, the goofiness, all of that, if this doesn't show up during the quest, it's going to be an absolute miss on the developer's end, because there is so much characterization in here that we need to see in-game. Augusta has no choice but to spend a few harried minutes in front of her mirror trying to subdue her unruly hair with varying degrees of success. No matter how hard she tries, a few strands still jut from the top of her head, proclaiming their triumph for the world to see. Oh, she got a bit of a cowlick. Oh, so she wears the crown to hide her cowlick. I see. I see. All right, and now for the last part, at least when it comes to this breakdown over here, A Lousy Actor, another short story. Augusta often takes time out of her busy schedule to visit the orphanage. Of course, that houses children of gladiators who died in the dark tide. She was an orphan too. The children don't know her name or where she comes from. They only see her as a big sister who laughs and plays with them. Their favorite game is called Hero of Heroes versus Tacit Discords. They all want to be the hero of heroes, as does Augusta, but she never lets her wish be known, for nothing warms her heart more than the happy smiles on the children's faces. Oh, she likes kids too. In their most recent game, Augusta finally got to be the hero of heroes, not because she's a grown-up, nor because it's her turn, but because she was lousy at playing a Tacit Discord. You're not a convincing bad guy, they laugh. You don't know how to act evil. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we got the loves children, loves kids angles as well. Not too shabby. I'm pretty sure she's becoming wife material even more and more for the people that are actually reading this. And now, the Resonance Evaluation Report. Let's see what they got cooking for this one. Name, Augusta. This contender's resonance history dates back to early childhood, nearly concurrent with her age. It is speculated that she is a congenital resonator. I think that means that they're like all natural. They were like born with it, like, you know, maybe it's Maybelline, that sort of stuff. Contender Augusta's tacit mark is located on the back of her left hand. Upon activation, she can generate and manipulate a magnetic field with a radius of approximately 10 meters centered around herself. With an increasing mastery of her forte, she can freely control and reshape materials such as iron, cobalt, and nickel. However, based on both personal testimony and test data, her forte appears to have reached its developmental ceiling, with a 10-meter radius marking its practical upper limit. So, this is my take. This is my take on what's going to happen in the story. Augusta may or may not be a unit that perhaps undergoes a second awakening. From all of the stuff that I'm seeing over here, it would make a ton of sense if something does actually occur in the 2.6 to 2.7 storyline that triggers some type of second awakening that actually makes her forte. All of this stuff about how weak her forte is, about how it's only used for like one thing, about how it's used for like random knickknacks and isn't anything too wild. Like even here, people are talking shit about it. A rare congenital resonator, but her forte offers little more than minor support in combat. Unremarkable. Why would they be talking about how useless or how like, how unfortunate it is if something big isn't going to happen? I imagine, right, and this is probably going to be the teaser. This might be a spoiler. Not pre-watched, I swear. You know, or the rover, or somebody like that is going to be in like a super dangerous situation, right? A bunch of like metal, or maybe a gigantic piece of stone is gonna like fall on them, or something like that. And then Augusta gains like the second resonance awakening, and then her effective range, right, extends way beyond 10 meters, and then she's able to save somebody. I pretty much, if that doesn't actually occur, then all of the setup that they're doing with the story, talking all of this shit about how useless her forte is, it's a complete miss. I don't know, like, it's so clear that that's what's supposed to happen, and if it doesn't, well, I'm just gonna be a little bit sad, and probably a little bit disappointed, but it's just, it has to happen, right? Don't play games like this. The tacit mark branded on the back of her hand since childhood was both a gift from above and a cruel joke. Her feeble forte once bound her like shackles, but now she has long since melted those chains away. Step by step, she climbs the stairs to the throne, proof to all that even one born of dust can shine with the brilliance of a blazing sun. So yeah, I could see an angle where she doesn't have any sort of second resonance awakening, and this is meant to be like, Augusta is like the representation of the power of like the power of willpower, right? Sheer force of will. So maybe that's the angle that they're gonna go with. Like, she's basically like a mortal person who has ascended to like the ranks of like near godhood through just like the development of their physical capabilities, right? So maybe that's the angle that they're gonna go with, but I think it would be more badass if she just turned into Magneto. I just think it would be more badass if she turned into Magneto. So that's what my hope actually is. And honestly, after playing the Overture quest, after seeing like the background and all of that, I feel like it would actually be fitting. And if anything, I know this is like the most wild crackpot theory ever, but my take is potentially Cartithia loses the Sentinel's like awakening, and then maybe Augusta or something like that inherits it, and then maybe that's actually how Septimont and Raguna kind of like mend the geological relationship, or kind of like the relationship between the two regions, right? Because people can freely go to Septimont, but nobody from Septimont is allowed in Renacida. But if, let's just say, Augusta became the Sentinel's Resonator, then Raguna would like have to recognize Septimont. And that's how Augusta gets her second awakening, because Cartithia's relationship to the Sentinel slash Threnodian, Imperator slash, Leviathan, is kind of killing her right now, right? She's kind of like dying. She needs time to recover. And so she loses that power, and then Augusta inherits it. Augusta gets her second reawakening. That's how Septimont and Raguna mend, sort of like the relationship that the two regions have. That's my take. That's my prediction. Once again, I could be right, I could be wrong. But if I'm right, then you know who is right. So yeah, now the last part, overclocking. The subject's waveform graph shows elliptical fluctuations. The time domain pattern is regular, and no signs of abnormal fluctuations are observed. The test results fall within the normal phase range. This subject has minimal risk of overclocking. Based on waveform intensity, overclocking potential is also ruled out. Records indicate no history of overclocking, and psychological counseling is currently deemed unnecessary. Seems like a pretty stable vessel for the Threnodian's energies. Just saying, if there was somebody that could handle the whispers of the Threnodian, I would dare say Augusta seems like a pretty good candidate for it. I think she'd be able to control it, and then kind of like from there, right, be like the new leader of the region. Because I don't think Cartithia wants to do it. I think that has been made abundantly clear. Cartithia wants to hang up the mantle. She does not really want to be the Sentinel's Resonator. She just wants to like she just wants to be like sort of like a regular person, because she's been locked in a fucking tower for like 20 plus years. She just wants to go live life. But her, clearly, bit of a born leader. So that'll be my take. That'll be my prediction for what we have moving forward. And yeah, I'm just excited to see how it all plays out. And I'm really excited to see the kind of like goofy part of this unit. Now we got some more fun stuff. I think they got like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. They're doing like the whole close-up of everything. Okay. All right. Well, I'm not going to lie. I don't particularly care too much about the stuff over here. We'll kind of just get on into and look at some of her animations in the character menu. I don't think her kit reveal is coming out just yet, but yeah, I mean, that's pretty badass. That looks pretty good. What else we got going on over here? Idle animation. Okay. All right. And then the convene animation. I think everyone saw this during the live stream, but this is without a doubt, like, probably the best one they've ever made. Yeah, no, it is without a doubt, I think, the best convene animation that they've made. Kind of fitting for somebody that might become the new Sentinel Resonator. I don't know, brother. That's a lot of aura to me. Oh, they have a Resonance Liberation animation, too. Yeah, I mean, well, guess we'll get a bit more later. They're only willing to show us that for right now. These devs are truly actually teasing us. So yeah, that'll be that, ladies and gentlemen, for the Augusta initial reveal. I gotta say, they left a lot of clues, a lot of hints for where the story is gonna go. And I know we made some predictions that might seem a little bit crazy, but make sure to revisit me to tell me that I was right about everything. So yeah, that'll be that, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you all thought. Peace.